It is what it is, you know? Oh, yes, that is his name. Yeah. I know Debbie very well.
Yes. She said, make sure he knows. We got it.
This time I got it. Last time I didn't. Good evening. I'd like to call the school board meeting Penn Trafford. Call to order. Let's start with the pledge of allegiance to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, we have we need to take a roll call tonight.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lego?
Yes, Mr. President, Mrs. Ising.
Here.
Mr. Kachasik.
Here.
Dr. Koschko.
Here.
Mr. Bill Leonard is absent. Mr. Dallas Leonard. Mr. Matarazzo.
Here.
Mr. Nemec. Here. Mr. Petrucci. Mr. Stovar. Here. You have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
And at this time, we go to our opening items. I'll turn it over to our superintendent, Dr. Harris.
Thank you. Mr. Matarazzi, you need to turn on your mic. Mr. Benton just mentioned that. And I'm going to let it start off by, you want to jump over special reports first, or do you want to go right to me first?
Students of the month.
Sure.
Do that.
We're going to actually start with the students of the month. I'll
All
pass
right.
right back to you.
Thank you, sir. Penn Trafford School Board Administration are pleased to announce the May 2021 Students of the Month. Students are selected by their school principals for being exceptional in some way, whether earning top grades, showing strong leadership, exhibiting kindness, or for some other notable reason. Fifth grade student at McCullough Elementary, Henry Hayden. Henry exemplifies all the qualities that we think of when choosing a student of the month. He's a model student who works hard on a daily basis. He consistently puts forth his best effort, takes pride in all of his work. Very polite, caring, and respectful young man. Henry works well with others and always shows kindness and respect for all those he encounters. We are proud to have Henry as our student, says Principal Joe Morasti, and it's our pleasure and privilege to select him as McCullough's Student of the Month. Our next Student of the Month is Jack Wiseart, an 8th grader at Penn Middle School. At his age and in today's world, it is easy to be swayed by negative influences. But Jack has remained strong in his core principles. His relationship with his family, faith, and friends are his main priorities. Jack's teachers unanimously praise him for both his commitment to academics and his amazing attitude. One of Jack's teachers stated, "Jack is a conscientious student and has a positive attitude. He always takes a leadership role in group learning and lab situations." Another teacher added that Jack is a wonderful young man. He has led the student council through a very difficult school year, always keeping his fellow students in mind, making sure we have a positive environment. He has balanced school, sports, and leadership, demonstrating a great example for others to follow. Jack's love for sports is evident as he plays on both the football and basketball teams. However, he understands the importance of being well-rounded. When he's not on the field or court, he is a dedicated 4.0 student and serves the school community as a Penn Middle Student Council President. According to Principal Jim Simpson, for these reasons and many others, we're proud of Jack Wiseart and choosing him as May Student of the Month. Now, a little different here, the following Penn Trafford seniors who will all enter the military after graduation. May I go into that?
Yes, please do.
We want to share that these are Students of the Month honor at the high school, and congratulations to these fine students. Andrew Bliss will be going to the Navy. Hunter Compise, Merchant Marine Academy. Elizabeth Cermak, Naval Academy. Jacob Chambers, Navy. Sean King, Navy. Siler Cosho, that should be Silas, got the wrong spelling here, right? Silas Cosho, Naval Academy. Austin Lankley, National Guard, ROTC. And Josh Snyder, Marines. Congratulations to these fine people and to their parents, because it's a big step. So that's all on my list.
That's exciting to see that list. Usually, we are able to have the students who are going off to the military, we have them come in. Due to all the restrictions this year, we just read their names and announced their names. So it was nice to see a good collection of students going again.
Oh, and I think about going to the academy, it's, and two of our board members now are gonna have students, right, Mr.
He's on
Stowe?
round two.
He's on round
That's even more
two?
impressive.
Yeah, you have both your sons off same place.
Yeah,
Very
Very
impressive.
fortunate that both sons have, one is graduated in flight school, and the other one will be starting here in July, so, yeah, very fortunate.
that means a lot, so, thank you very much.
Roll it back, remember too, Mr.
Mine too.
Petrucci's oldest son went to Merchant Marines. So
Ah.
Penn Trafford has put a lot of kids into the academies through the years.
Yeah, it's a nice, I took Murray, you were with me.
Yep.
We went down the road in New York City and went to Long Island. My son graduated from there, and it's, he now teaches mechanical engineering, he does his forensic degree, he got it from CERN, and, he also works at Rankin at the metal production plant.
Ms. Petrucci,
Because of the Mercury Academy graduate. Mention that, Marty, thank you.
Good job.
and Nick, we need to put your mic on too, Mr. Benton just texted.
Yeah, Nick, you're gonna have to say that all
I'm gonna say it all over again.
Why I didn't take you so long?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're spoiled, usually someone has them on for us,
Bring that
so.
back for.
Well, while he's doing that, we have that wall of honor or something in the, all by the high.
Yes, we do.
What is that about? Can you explain how you get on there?
Back, started actually
Yeah,
years
yeah.
when Mr.
I
Iglesias was the
see.
principal. Scott, did you want to talk about how it started?
Yeah, that was Mr. Davis, who's also a veteran, started that. So anybody who is a graduate of Penn Trafford and who is a veteran, if they would reach out to us and let us know, we would put their name on there. So, yeah, it's just, you know, I'm sure there's others that belong on there that we don't know about, but it's just a matter of getting those names and updating it.
Yeah, I thought about that because I saw some names of people I know that were in the service that weren't up there, and I didn't know if they had to be retired or what
No,
have you.
they just have to send them in to us because a lot of times, we don't know, but if they send them to us, then we can definitely add them.
So if there's anybody out there who has a graduate of PT that's been in the service, please get in touch with office superintendent. Who should they call?
They contact the high school, we'd get it straightened out.
Yeah, and if you're in the high school, please go by that little section there and see the names that are on there. Okay, Mr. Petrucci, you want to say anything since people didn't hear you?
No, no, I won't repeat it. I'm sorry. Thanks, Dr. Costo for, Marty cut me offhand and I started talking. I forgot about taking the mask off. I think my fellow peers, I think they heard what I said, I have to say. Everybody in the community, if they want to get back to me, I'll get back to them.
Sounds fair. Sounds
In
fair.
addition to the students of the month, we have our student representative here, Zach Perrin.
Yeah, please turn that on, Zach. Thank you.
Tell him, Scott, tell him what to push. Oh, he got it.
All right, good evening, everyone. I just wanted to come here and say thank you, a part of the entire school board. Thank you all from the student body as well as student union for everything you guys have done for us this year, especially the seniors. It's been a completely different year, as everyone knows, and we're just really thankful for what you guys have all done for us, the changes that everyone has made, the adaptations, and the ability to alter the normality of life. To be able to make it better for the seniors, for the events that we're having, graduation going on, hopefully as normally as possible as planned, and everything else. I'd like to give a special thanks as well to Mrs. Popovich for the amazing job she did as well for helping the entire school. I think we did amazing as an entire community, and I just wanted to thank all of you personally not as the school board representative, but personally for everything you guys have done to adapt during this time, as well as also making it the best possible experience in somewhat of a dark world that we live in that's getting a little bit brighter because of what you guys have done for us. So I appreciate everything you all have done, and thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. I'm
Well,
glad-
Zach, where are you going to school? You got it decided yet?
Yeah, I did. I'm going to Penn State currently, and I'm going to be majoring in chemical engineering with a possible change and possible double major into secondary education in a prerequisite of chemistry.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
I have a question for you. First of all, chemical engineering is secondary. You have no trouble getting a job. Believe me, none. But number two, your replacement, you have any idea who that's gonna be, or how long, what the time frame is for that?
So currently, the student union, we are holding all of our elections for certain positions. We are waiting to see who will be my replacement to be here. It will be probably by the end of this year, if not the beginning of next year. So it's been a hectic time for everyone, especially, you know, adapting, getting ready for the end of the year, AP tests and all. So we're all trying to get the votes in and other people to run to be able to figure out who's
I
that.
thought you'd have the elections over already. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. I apologize. It's just, you know, everything going on. We're trying to get it just done as quick as possible and get the new batch of people in as all of us seniors are heading out.
Well, we got an exciting May for you guys. You're talking graduation,
Indeed.
you got prom. What's the feeling, the sentiment of the students?
I believe a lot of the students are very joyful about the ability to have normalcy, to say the least. A lot of us were questioning at the beginning of the year whether or not we were going to all be back together really at first, and then we were all back together. And then now it was before switching to, well, we have a normal graduation, or at least somewhat, and I'm thankful that everyone is planning on having, you know, obviously masked COVID safety, but everyone there, you know, graduating as we would in normal years. So I think a lot of people are happy, especially about graduation, as well as also the alterations to the senior farewell event. I think that's a great ending for us seniors and everyone of the upperclassmen to have somewhat of a joyful ending to this entire year.
That senior parade is gonna be pretty good. What do you think?
I agree. I can't wait for it.
Thank you. Any other board member want to say anything to our representative? No? All right, well, thank you so much for coming.
Thank
You did a
you.
nice job.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Zach.
nice job.
Really appreciate it. I just had a couple other announcements before I turn it back over to Mr. Matarazzo. This week, as you know, it's Teacher Appreciation Week. Each school is doing something different to celebrate this week with their teachers and their staff. This year, the teachers did a remarkable job with everything that they were given, and I'm really proud of them and all the staff members in the district for all they did for our students, because I know it wasn't easy, so I really do appreciate all their efforts and everything they do, and hopefully they have a nice week for Teacher Appreciation Week. We just found out that the lighting upgrades that we did at the end of last year, we were expecting to save about $100,000 per year on the energy savings. We actually saved for our very first year was $176,000. So I want to really thank all those school board members who were promoted the energy savings, looked into alternate. We really studied that contract and the vendors and the different process with everything we did, and you know, especially with Brett, Jim Bracco. So I do appreciate all the efforts because that is a huge savings for our first year, and it's going to pay for itself. Well, we estimated 10 years, but now it's going to probably be definitely less than 10 based on our first year.
Yes.
Do you have anything you want to say to that, Brett, or just?
No, I just, you know, again, I give Jim Bracco a lot of credit for, you know, spearheading that effort. And, you know, we did study several different proposals and ultimately came up with the right vendor for the job and couldn't be more pleased. Not only have we saved that in electric use, but we're also spending less in maintenance time and effort to, you know, repair old fixtures and ballasts. And the lighting itself is much brighter, much better, so much better for the staff and the students. So all things considered, it was a really beneficial project, and we're very happy the way it's going.
And then on the plus side, we were able to add air conditioning to all the classrooms that didn't have it because we were able to increase the amount of circuits needed
Correct.
too,
That's
based on the
correct.
whole study. So
That is correct.
that was a little bonus as well.
It
In
certainly was.
hindsight, we also eliminated the middleman in that whole project, which saved us some money, I believe.
We did. It did also save us some
Yeah.
money, for sure.
And finally, I was going to mention something, and Zach already briefly talked about it. This Friday is the senior dinner. think there's almost 200 tickets sold. So, and the Grand March will be at the stadium, but there is a backup plan if it rains, because I looked at the forecast, and actually from the 7th on, it's the next 10 days is pretty much, I was worried about the sports because of the sports season too. Looks like there's a lot of rain in store for the next maybe 10 days after that, so.
Where's the dinner at, Dr.?
I keep saying this wrong, Antonellas?
Oh, that's nice.
Antonelli's.
That's nice.
Antonelli's? I always want to put an A at the end of that. All right, so I'm looking forward to, hopefully the kids have a good time. And that is all I have under my information. We do have a budget presentation, but I know, did you want to go back to the special reports?
Yes, and we hold the budget till later. Okay, we have time for special reports. At this time, Mr. Dallas Leonard, what's going on at the IU?
Okay, I'll start off patterning after my buddy Nick with a goodie report. There was 4 choices to select from, 4 box meals. My meal consisted of a delicious sweet Italian sausage dinner with 2 side orders, mac and cheese and beans, a chocolate chip cookie for dessert.
Hold it, Dallas, excuse me. You don't have a microphone.
Yeah, I was
Thanks,
not gifted with a microphone. I knew that coming in, but. So, do I need to start over?
No, you're good.
No problem. Okay, and we had a large bottle of cold purified water to drink with that. Okay. The IU meeting was held April 27th, 2021 at the IU facilities. The executive session started at 6:30. 10 out of the 17 board members were present, plus a standard group of administrative personnel. As some may not know, the IU consists of 1 representative from every school district. There's 17 districts, so there's supposed to be 17 people there. And in my past tenure, being a representative to the board, I didn't know till they brought up the meeting how long I had been on there last time. They told me I was on there 4 years, so I'll take their word for that. But there was very regularly a struggle having a quorum. So they had to shift things around a little bit, and we have 2 new members rolling on from, this district was 1 and another district. Having said that, they needed to appoint me and vote on me as an approved board member before they'd have a quorum to conduct business. So they did that, and I was voice vote unanimously voted in to be a member, so I'm currently a member. The other new member did not show up, so, okay, now, under the personnel or the executive session, there were several items. The head custodial position that has been open for many years will finally be filled by some shifting of internal positions and duties. No additional personnel will be hired at this time. The Act 93 salary adjustments are almost completed. A 1.7% increase was decided following guidance from PSBA. There are currently 40 Act 93 employees. Other personnel issues were discussed, including the creation of 1 new position of social worker. The annual evaluation of the executive director is in process, with 10 of 17 districts having responded so far. At the regular meeting, which started at approximately 7, slightly late, there were forms were distributed to the board members, including myself, to begin the process of reorganizing committee assignments. We're asked to give our preferences to what committees we would like to be on. There was a fact I learned at that meeting. We know there's 17 public schools in Westmoreland County. Well, there's 20 private schools in Westmoreland County. They put on a position filled by a young gentleman named Jason Strahan, and a lot of his responsibilities to reach out to the 20 private schools to make sure that the statutory requirements of providing services to the private schools is being met. And he reported that he has met with representatives from all 20 private schools. I already said 2 new members were to be voted on for acceptance in the board. I was one of the 2 and was approved by a voice vote of all board members present. The second new board member was not there, so no vote was taken on that new position. I imagine that'll happen next meeting. The Luzio and Company Limited Liability Corporation auditors presented an audit report. It included a clean, unmodified report with no findings. I won't bore you with any details. That's all available publicly. A discussion was held on the various financial matters, including fund balance status, Peaser's pension funding and status, general financial status of the IU finances. No citizen comments were received before or after the meeting. All committee reports were briefly reviewed and approved. A non-public school services presentation was given by Mr. Jason Stragahand. He's the gentleman I alluded to that is liaison, and I'm not sure that's all he does, but I know he does do outreach to 20 private schools. And he said he has successfully met with representatives of all 20 new non-public schools in Westmoreland County. His purpose and goal is to verify that the IU satisfactorily is providing the proper outreach and services to all 20 non-public schools. A number of new policies and policy revisions were approved, and the meeting was adjourned at 8:16. The detailed agenda is available on the WIU website if anyone has any questions. And does anybody have any questions or comments at this time?
I have a statement. You said they have to vote on you, Mr. Leonard, to?
Once this board voted to send me,
Yeah,
yes, they have to vote to receive me.
Boy, it's not that way at Careertech. As soon as this board approves me, which I've been very blessed with, that's it.
Well, I'm gonna be compiling questions. Maybe that will be one of them.
Yeah.
Because I believe the last time I went, they didn't do that, but I'm not positive. The executive director that was on as the executive director up there, which is their superintendent, was a different person. She retired, and this Dr. Conway that's there now,
Conway's
he was
correct.
hired since. And I think there's been a lot of changes have taken place since last time I was on the board. I'm starting to feel my way through that. That may be one of them. I don't know.
That could
But their
be.
attorney was there, and the attorney was consulted, and they said, yes, they did it right. You know, they voted me in, and then I could participate in the meeting.
Careertech, our solicitors are meeting too, we never approved any appointments.
So maybe you're
I mean,
not a legitimate.
that's hard to
board
do
member.
when you don't know the people that are coming in. It's just a formality, it has to be.
Well, it's probably a legal requirement, I would
Okay.
guess. But
It
I'll
has to
ask.
be.
I'll ask. I'll try to have that answer next time I come back to the board. Any more questions or comments? Hearing none, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Leonard. Okay, at this time, Mr. Petrucci, talking about Careertech.
Thank you, Mr. Matarazzo. Remember I mentioned to you guys last week, to this group, rather, sorry, or 2 weeks ago now, that all students that want to go to Careertech for 4 years, they are permissible. And this goes under Pennsylvania Law Code. I checked into this. It's called number 22 PA Code 4:23D. So if anybody wants to check into all that, but that says that any other superintendents that want to try to cut back on any students interested in Careertech, they must be accepted. Okay, now the meeting we had, our last meeting, we explained our articulation agreement with California University of Pennsylvania for sports medicine program. Now, Mr. Lego, this is mostly for you. Our fund balance went down 1.5% to 2%. So we're not returning money, okay, which I know you guys are conditioned to receiving and adjusting for that. And if you have any question on that, please give Chris a call.
I will. But, I think that the VOTEC has actually done a better job over the past few years of coming up with a more realistic budget figure. And instead of overcharging us and then sending us money back at the end of the year, which, quite frankly, I'd prefer they not do, I think they're doing a better job of getting that number right. So that's fine. We're not anticipating any refund, so that's fine.
Okay, all right.
I already
I'll
talked to
tell
Brett
Chris you
about
said
that.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, and also there are 4 students in the March CDL class. I'm pretty proud of this. Next class will be April 12th, and I made sure that hazmat certificate and also the multiple trailer certificate, you can get hazmat online now. I didn't know that, but I got educated on that part. Non-auto tech seniors earned their state inspection certification in March, so they can inspect cars where they go. They carry it with them. Emergency certificates also for same students that got the certificates to inspect cars. Okay, now, as you know, I had told you our
Jason Lucia, who's our director, that's how much energy he has. And this year here, he did 3 people's jobs himself. Our director, assistant director, and he dropped the principal's position. So that saved us a nice piece of change, but you gotta have at least an assistant, otherwise you're gonna burn the young man out. So I'm gonna try to pronounce this name. And motion by Dr. Lerner, and second by Ms. Livingood, that Darcy Zimkambush as Assistant Director of Career and Technology, 12-month position at the annual salary of $87,000 for the 21-22 school year. Subject to the terms of the position, offer sheet with the hiring effective June 8th of this year. And any work performed by the Assistant Director and Career Technical Education Director prior to July 1st will be compensated on a per diem rate. And there's nothing expected to happen to that, but you don't know what happened. All were in favor of motion passed unanimously. Now, the next one is that we hired a work study director, which is, this is a newly created position, and this is placing all kids at Careertech out on jobs. And the next one is, this is one I was heavily involved with, special needs kids, and is called service occupations, and we, the person left is Bob Gongaware, but we accept their retirement. But we'll have a new one, I hope, at this next meeting. And also, Dr. Harris, this Thursday is meet and greet.
Yes.
Okay, and we're inviting, this is Mr. Lucia again. He wants to bring all the superintendents in, and from 4:30 to the 6 o'clock, you know, the manjada, and you know, it's meet and greet and get acquainted. Now,
My
as far
son
as
is,
the-
you know what, my son is at St. Barbara's getting confirmed at the same time.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he's 6
That's
o'clock
okay.
on
And
confirmation.
you won't be able to make
Yeah,
it
that's
then.
my baby.
Okay, I will mention that. I'll mention that.
My
Okay, and our
daughter.
next meeting is this Thursday, which is the 3, 4, 5, the 6th, okay? So that's all I have to report, Mr. President.
Okay, I have a question.
Sure.
Mr. Petrucci. This will probably come up at our next IU meeting, because I'll probably bring it up. How does the Careertech interact with the 20 private schools? Are the private schools allowed to send their kids there?
Yes.
And-
I don't know if any of them ever do, Mr. Leonard. I think they would be. I don't know why not.
Well, I'll find out. I predict with this new position, and the position Mr. Strahan, I don't know if I'm saying that right, that was created at the IU within less than 2 years ago, is a liaison to reach out to all the private schools. So I'll ask him what he knows about it, and maybe you could ask it yours.
To my knowledge, I don't know why you can't. You have to accept them. I don't know what reason you could not to.
Well, how many of them are high school, though?
A lot.
Are there really?
Yeah,
Okay,
there's-
'cause I would've thought most of them would've been elementary.
Well, if you look at the Catholic schools are probably the biggest, and there's several of them, and they have full enrollment, but I'm familiar with a number that have high schools.
Now, they would have to pay the same tuition. Fraser is not even our county, but Fraser is really our 10th school district. I think you know that, we mentioned this before, at Careertech, and they have to pay a tuition per child, per student, rather. Anyway, I would have to say, if it's a private ed kid, I think they would have to also pay the same thing. They have to pay the tuition.
So is their tuition differentiated from anything that will be paid by this district, or is it just?
No.
So it'd be the same thing,
It'd be, yeah, it'd be the same.
Okay, yeah, and that's an interesting question.
It'd be the same according to the district that they live in.
Yes.
Okay, if they live in Norwin or Penn Trafford, whatever you pay for Norwin students, that's what they'd be charged for Norwin.
And one of the reasons why I'm probably gonna be on the committee that works with Mr. Strahan with, not only, but with the 20 private schools, that'll be one of the things I'll be involved in. We haven't realigned the committees, but we're gonna do it next meeting or two, so that would be a question.
No,
that would come up.
to my knowledge, they'd pay the same, because the kids at York, I believe York has the second highest enrollment, or third highest enrollment for a small district. Their number would, whatever it'd be smaller because they're big numbers of enrollment numbers. They would be, it'd be charged, if a kid lived in York, you'd have to pay what York kid pays for a child.
No, that's fair.
Yeah. That's all, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Petrucci.
The Board of Directors convened for an executive session at 5:15 to discuss personnel, real estate, and negotiations. That was information from executive session.
Now I have Mr. Lego. Do his presentation.
What do you want to let there's no visitors here? Did I announce that or not?
You can knock on.
I just let you know, this would be a section for recognition of any visitors, but we have no visitors here tonight. So at this time, Mr. Lego is going to do a presentation on our school budget.
Okay, so earlier this evening, I gave you all two handouts. The handout that looks like that is just the same presentation I'm gonna do in the PowerPoint. And then the other one is the numbers that are behind the backup for the presentation. So I'm going to briefly go through the PowerPoint, and certainly if you have any questions as we go through it, feel free to yell them out. And if you think anything after the meeting tonight, please call me, text me, email me. I'm happy to answer anything I can for you. So this time last year, there was a whole lot of doom and gloom that was being bantered about. And, you know, we were just in the beginning stages of the COVID. Estimates on revenues were really, really dire, and we budgeted very conservatively last year. I'm happy to say that on the revenue side, things are much, much better than we anticipated, which is a good thing. I don't think we're gonna use as much of the fund balance as we originally projected. Our expenditures aren't out of line with what we anticipated. And with the next round of stimulus monies coming in, even though we're gonna project a bit of a deficit for the current year, I think between our continued strong revenues and being able to offset some of our expenditures with eligible COVID dollars, I'm really not too concerned that we're not gonna be able to bridge that gap. Now, having said that, I am projecting or recommending for our preliminary budget a 2 mil increase. So just put it right out there. At this point, I think, based on the size of our professional contract and adding back some expenditures for the maintenance and for future building projects that we took out last year, we really justify a 2 mil increase, and then we'll bridge the balance with fund balance, but I think we'll be okay when it's all said and done.
So I have a question for you right there then.
Yes, sir.
What's the total on the numbers you're adding back into this budget that were cut last year? Give me an estimate. Is it $500,000?
It's in excess of
Three-quarter?
$500,000. It's over $500,000, yes. Over $500,000.
Thank you.
You are welcome. And again, you know, half of that is in the maintenance department. And again, I give Mr. Bracco credit for really being able to manage with what he had to work with. A lot of money was spent on COVID precautions and you know, PPE equipment, which we were able to fund with the first couple rounds of stimulus. But, you know, to get back to where we need to be in terms of maintaining our buildings, we put those dollars back in. And we also put the mill back in, $290,000 that we set aside to transfer into the capital reserve fund on an annual basis. So what are the major drivers? Well, salaries continue to increase. You know, in our instructional programs, the increase this year in salaries is just shy of $1 million, or 5% basically, and that's in the detailed handout. So the benefits to go with that's another $500,000 or 4.5%. So again, those have been, will be, and always are in our district the major drivers of our expenditure. Now, we also saw a significant increase in our cyber charter costs because with the pandemic, you know, we lost some kids to cyber school. They're not comfortable being in person. They weren't comfortable with what we offered. So those costs also continue to rise to the extent of about $500,000 this year. And we really had very little attrition. I think we had, what, Matt, 3 or 4 retirements that we're projecting?
4 retirements.
4 retirements. And
In addition, we also are replacing those, and we're also adding additional positions in both special education as well as elementary classrooms.
Right, and I'm even light on this number that I had this prepared before Dr. Harris gave me the final numbers, but it's not 3.5 positions, it's 5 positions new that we're adding. So, but we'll make that adjustment.
At 500,000 for the charter schools, or how many additional students is that?
That's a good question. I can't tell you I know the number offhand, because I just look at the expenditure part of it, but we'll get you that number. We'll get you what the current number is.
Yeah, I want to comment on that. You know, we had an extra 500,000, you said. That's approximately 1.7 mil right there.
Correct.
Whenever you say the cost of cyber schools is going up, I don't quite understand that. Now, the cyber kids, we still have to pay out of our tax dollars for those kids, right?
Correct.
Same way as our other students? Or is it more?
It's,
Well, the bill that they give us, Mr. Lennox, every cyber school has a different price they give us, so it's a little bit different depending on which cyber school.
So in other words, they can name a price, and we have a cost per student cost, and we can't just pay them our cost per student cost. We have to pay what they bill us.
Correct.
Okay, that answers my question.
and that, so you have the increase, because it's based on, it goes up every year based on increased costs, and then when you get more kids on top of that, then it compounds itself. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, the biggest thing was the disparity between what we budget for cost per student, and they don't have to, as the constraint, they can budget what they want, it sounds like.
It's a system that has long been talked about reforming and little action to do anything about it. So. All right, so overall, last year our revenues were down 57.2 million. This year, again, adding back some numbers, we're up to 60 million, or a 5% increase. There's a decent increase in the special ed allocation this year, which is the first time that I can recall they bumped that number up at all. A slight increase, 1.3% in basic ed, the 2 mills of real estate increase that we have budgeted in there, and earned income, real estate transfers, and delinquent tax collections are all much better than we anticipated last year. So almost a 5% increase in revenues, where expenditures are up a little bit less than that. Again, $1.5 million of that's attributed to salaries and benefits at least, and then with the maintenance increases, the fund transfer increases, so we're looking at a $2.8 million increase in our expenditures. This is a breakdown. I don't know if you can see it, but because I can't barely see it. But a little closer here. So this number's already changed, because when I put this presentation together, we hadn't yet got confirmation of the gambling monies coming in for the homestead exemptions. So instead of a $3 million increase, it's actually a $2 million increase in local revenue. State revenue, instead of being down 400,000, would be up 600,000. And then we're accounting for some of the stimulus monies, which we know that we have about $460,000 that we can use to offset some of our expenditures towards remediation, is that what they call it? Remediation. So, and those are kind of the things we're already doing, so we're able to fund those with some of those stimulus monies. We'll take the rest of the stimulus monies, and it's over a 2-year period, and figure out probably most of it's going to go to building improvements, because they're one-time dollars, so we want to make them one-time expenditures. Again, our revenue changes, the value of the mill continues to increase. From the time we budget till the time we close out the fiscal year, we've been seeing almost a $400,000 to $500,000 increase in what we collect, because, we still have some pretty decent development going on here in the district, It's helping our real estate collections tremendously, and I think at least for the next year, that trend will continue. Again, basic ed subsidy was up 1.3%, or about $200,000, and special ed subsidy was up almost $200,000, which was close to an 8% increase. And then the federal funding, we just talked about a little bit, the stimulus dollars. Again, you know, every year the percentage of local revenue continues to climb where the state participation declines. So now we're up to 56% local, 42% state, and under 2% on the federal. Expenditures, again, the lion's share of our expenditures are always in instructional programs, which is where the money should be. So that's up 5%. Mostly, again, it's all related to our salary and benefit increases. And then if you look at support and non-instructional support, increase is not so significant. Again, other than adding back some money in the maintenance department and adding back money for fund transfers, there really aren't any significant increases outside of the two big line items of salaries and benefits. And, you know, I've been doing this for 30 years now, and I could give that same speech every year because that's really what it's all about. So again, salary increases due to the contract, actually addition of 5 staff members, our increased cyber charter schools, and some of those expenditures that we took out last year because we were concerned what the budget was going to look like, and we're putting them back in. Again, there you can see the bulk of the pie goes towards our instructional programs, which is where we want it to be. This is just a summary line item by line item. It's in your detailed handout. You can look at it, but again, you'll see that the bulk is up there where we want it to be in the 1,000 categories. And the other significant increase this year, and I failed to mention, is Mr. Petrucci with our career and tech budget, because we have so many more kids going there, which is a great thing. But it's, you know, it's going to cost us about $100,000 more, not because of their increased cost, it's because of our increased participation. So, you know, that's good. Our kids are taking advantage of it. That's a great thing.
Dr. Harris deserves a lot of credit for that.
So this is the recommendation. This is the preliminary budget. We can always, again, adjust and change this between now and next month when we pass the final budget. But my recommendation is we go from 87.25 to 89.25, or 89. It should be a 2 mil increase, not 2.5. I got a little typo in there. So we're going from 87.75 to 89.75, a 2 mil increase. 87.25 to 89.25, sorry. So what that means, that's on the average home, it's a $58 a year increase.
Brett, so your recommendation is if we have questions when we get into the weeds, give you a call this week?
Yep.
So, I thought I heard you say.
Yeah, anytime, yes. Only this week, and, you know, again, the final budget won't be passed until our second June meeting, and we can certainly vet it during the first meeting publicly. But any questions you guys have, certainly call me, and I'm more than happy to answer.
Thank you.
And that's it. So the fund balance, we're projecting to be about $7 million at the end of the year. We keep $2 million in that fund that we use for PESers and/or capital improvements, which we haven't really tapped into yet, which is a good thing. And we should have about $5 million unreserved. So not too much, but, you know, healthy that if we have something, we can address it.
You use the term PESers. Can you explain what that means?
PESers is the state employee retirement system. And, you know, again, 10 years ago, the rate that we paid as a district was somewhere under 10%. Now it's approaching 35%. So the board made the decision years ago to put some money aside to try to alleviate any pain that we were going to be caused by doing that. And fortunately, we've been able to manage it through the budget and just keep those dollars reserved. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Again, I don't think this presentation is significantly different than a lot of other years. You know, our drivers are salaries and benefits. You know, we invest in our people, which is a good thing, and they do a great job. But, you know, we have to keep paying for it, so. I'm happy to answer any questions now, tonight, tomorrow, whenever.
I have a couple, 3 questions that are all similar, like piggyback questions. How much current money in stimulus, it was a 2.3 approval, I believe, million. How much of that's been received or is available for use?
Well, from the most recent $2.3 million, we haven't received any of that yet. The state hasn't even approved their application process, so we know that's our allocation, but those dollars haven't started flowing yet.
What's the,
20% is remediation, or $460,000.
$460,000,
And then 80% we have more flexibility with, which we're talking about building and ground projects.
One time,
So how is the 2.3 million reflected in this budget analysis?
It's the only, $460,000, the remediation is reflected in the budget. The rest of it is not.
And that's approximately 9 mils of one-time money. Do you expect, in addition to that 9 mils, do you expect an additional stimulus, or is that the only one that you're aware it's in the pipeline?
Dallas, it's not,
It's like 6 mils,
it's not 9
Okay, maybe I did the wrong math. 2.3 million. What's a mil worth?
300,000.
but we only got like 1.8, that's
If
not.
you take out $400,000 out of that, now
Well, I don't take anything out because it's real money. So if you want to take that out,
no, I mean, Matt said remediation,
well, I'm not talking about just remediation. We're talking about the whole budget.
okay, divide $300,000 into that, that's, okay, I see what you're
More
doing.
like 8.
7.6.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 7.6 mils plus other money that isn't being counted. Okay, and so that's that stimulus money, and so that's not really reflected in the budget analysis we're doing, this preliminary
Yeah,
budget.
They don't want us to use one-time money to balance the budget. They
Well, I would
suggested-
say, I would be in favor of using one-time money on a one-time basis for, I am not in favor of passing another tax increase on to the same people that are gonna get hit by all this other tax increase that's talked about on the federal and state level. So I did a great job, Brett. I'm not faulting anybody, but I don't feel myself voting affirmatively to any budget this year that requires a tax increase, especially if there's supposedly these Bernie bucks or whatever you want to call them floating around out there that aren't figured in. So I will probably be a negative vote on this budget, preliminary or final, if it requires a tax increase this year, a one-time tax increase this year, because that one-time tax increase this year doesn't go away. It's always going to be there. And I just think, and again, I'm not faulting anything you did, Brett. I think you do a great job. And that's just my position on this. So if we have a vote tonight, my vote at this point will be probably to the negative, because I'm just not satisfied that we couldn't get through this year without a tax increase. I think we could pay our bills without doing it. It's a bad year for a tax increase. State's talking about doing it. The federal government's talking about killing us with taxes. Everything they're talking about is spending not millions, not billions, trillions. And that's all gonna come out of our pockets and the people we represent. I represent part of this ward, and or whatever you wanna call this township, and I just don't wanna pass that on this year with a difficult year with all the bad news that's already been there. That's, just so you know, I won't have to give a justification for a no vote. That's it right there.
And Dallas, you know, I appreciate your position, I respect your position, and I don't take it personally. I mean, everybody's got to do what their conscience tells them to do, and, you know,
Oh, you're
if
doing
I were in
great.
your spot, I might vote the same way.
You're doing a great job, Brett. So's Matt, and I'm not telling anybody else. I'm just telling you why I'm probably
No,
gonna vote no, so nobody, again, doesn't take
But
it
in the other
personally.
sense too, Dallas, if we, one-time money, whatever the following year, we're gonna have to make up for all that money. And that's what the state government did how many years ago now, they kept on spending money, was the last stimulus, I believe, right?
It
Mr.
was.
Lego?
You're correct.
And they spent that money thinking they didn't pay any attention to what their budget, and the following year after that, they had to make up twice for it. And I don't,
Well, I'm trying hard to pay attention. That's why I just got this budget breakdown tonight, and that's why.
And again, if you do have any questions, and everyone, like Brett says, please, during the week and even up until June, please give us a
Yeah,
second question.
Chance to review.
We have 6
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah,
Right.
the biggest thing, Nick,
And just for
to your
time reasons
point,
tonight.
is this year, I heard it said that this year's the teacher's contract is one of the biggest things that's causing us to look about a decrease in tax. It was a very lucrative, expensive contract. This is the biggest year of that contract. Now, next year, it shouldn't be as big, or the year after, I think, unless I'm wrong. Again, I haven't had time to bounce all those numbers around. And again, I'm not picking on anybody, it's just that with all these numbers and this money floating around out there, this year, I don't think that I could vote for a tax increase. And, you know, whenever you look at the number, what was the number per household? I wrote it down. I guarantee you, I'm not sure that's not an arbitrary number, but I guarantee you, if we increase this 2 mills, my personal taxes on my house will go up more than that. Now, a lot of people will go up less, but, because I've went back and I looked, I pulled some tax records for my own personal property, old ones. I keep everything. I have 12 file cabinets at home, and I, you know, that number probably, if you massage it out over, it's probably an average number, because a lot of people are gonna pay a lot more than that in additional taxes on 2 mills.
No, you're absolutely right. It's an average number.
That means somebody's gonna pay more than it, and somebody's gonna pay less. That's the
There's gonna be,
idea of
yes, a
an
lot of people are gonna pay more.
Did you want to go on?
And you're right, some people will pay far less.
Oh, okay. If there's no other discussion, maybe.
yeah, there is, I just wanted to say
Oh,
that
sure.
I'm on the other end, Dallas. I still think we should start saving millage for new construction. Okay, so, and I've been doing that way for the past 10, 15 years, so it's no surprise how I feel.
Well, if we were talking tonight about putting aside X mills and it was only gonna be for new construction, this would be a
Yeah, new
different.
construction.
It would be a different discussion. That's not what any of this is for. And I've been on the
Okay,
board.
I
for-
agree. I agree, you're right, it's not, but,
Well, one mill but 1 mill is basically to be put in the capital fund. So one of those 2 mills, you could be arguing.
And that one mill's been there for how many years, Brett?
Well, it wasn't until last year, because we took it off. You're right. Because we were trying to make things
But
work
we
last
need
year.
more
so
than
we put
one
it
mill,
back.
Brett.
Oh, no, I'm not gonna argue that point
You're
with you.
talking
We need about 10.
Thank you, Brett. That's exactly right. Need about 10 mills.
Yeah.
You go from one extreme to the other, but one-time money is still one-time money. Okay, that's all, Mr. President.
Okay, for this time, we can move forward to, Dr. Harris, did you want to?
Sure, for next week.
Please call me with questions.
Sure, next week under athletics and extracurricular, there will be new items. This takes us to number 7, which is an action item. Mr. Matarazzo, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, at this time, we have an action item to tentatively adopt the preliminary budget. Oops, I'm sorry. Mr. Nemick, do you want to read this? Is this your committee?
Move to tentatively adopt the preliminary budget for the Penn Trafford School District for the 2021-2022 school year in the total amount of $60,911,701 for advertisement and publication in accordance with district policy and the school laws of Pennsylvania. The preliminary budget calls for a 2 mil increase in real estate taxes for a total of 89.25 mils. The rate for Allegheny County will be 15.25 mils.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? And no second? All right.
I have a question.
And a question.
This is preliminary, obviously, we have an opportunity over the next 6 weeks, before the final is to do any modifications. 0 mills, we can do that as well.
That's correct. Absolutely.
Just, you know, having handed the budget here tonight, is gonna take some time to go through it and formulate any questions or ask with regards to savings.
That's a very fair
similar to what we
point.
did last year.
Yep,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Are there any other questions? Okay, we've had a motion. It's been seconded and questioned. This will call for a roll call vote. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say no.
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 Pull the board, Jim.
We're going to have to pull the board, please.
Okey dokey. All right, Mrs. Issen. Mr. Kachasik.
No.
Dr. Costo.
Yes.
Mr. Bill Leonard is absent. Mr. Dallas Leonard.
No.
Mr. Matarazzo.
Yes.
Mr. Nemec.
Yes.
Mr. Petrucci.
Yes.
Mr. Stovar.
Yes.
2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 yes, 3 no. The motion would carry.
Okay.
Okay.
Next week, under Buildings and Grounds and Safety, we're going to ask you to approve the renovation project at the high school. There won't be any items under employee relations, negotiations, transportation, nor food service. Personnel curriculum, we're going to ask you to approve the personnel agenda, authorize the administration to issue reasonable assurance of employment, and approve early graduation. Under policy public relations, legislative title II, we're going to ask you to approve the list of, okay, I'm sorry, I was reading there without the mask, with the mask. Under, I'm going to ask you to approve the list of graduates to the class of 2021, give final approval to board policies and board operating guidelines, and there won't be any items under taxes, insurance, and census. And turning it back to you, Mr. Matarazzo, for adjournment.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. At this time, I'd like a motion for an adjournment.
Motion.
Been moved, seconded. Any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Let's get out of here. Motion